The galaxy had always assumed Earth was a backwater, a planet of primitive creatures too busy squabbling among themselves to notice the vast civilizations orbiting the stars above, and for centuries alien councils, fleets, and explorers had looked down on humanity with amusement, mocking their small, fragile world as a place of negligible threat, a curiosity to study like ants beneath a magnifying glass. But even as the largest and most powerful galactic empires plotted trade routes, resolves, claims, and strategic alliances that spanned light years, humanity quietly observed, learned, and adapted, absorbing every piece of alien technology that drifted too close, every whisper of interstellar politics that leaked through communication channels, and every tactical doctrine that arrogantly assumed humans were incapable of unity or coordination on the scale required to challenge them. And while the Sol Directorate of Commerce and the Altherion Collective debated whether to send ambassadors, soldiers, or researchers to Earth, the humans were already preparing a defense that would be invisible in scope but devastating in execution, their fleets built in secret orbital shipyards, their AI systems refined through decades of civilian and military collaboration, and their strategies forged in simulation programs that calculated every conceivable move of their potential adversaries down to microsecond precision. Yet the aliens laugh at the first reports, claiming that humanity's supposed fleet was no more than outdated vessels patched together from industrial scrap and primitive propulsion systems, claiming that the humans could not coordinate beyond individual skirmishes, and claiming that the planetary defenses, rumors of automated weapons platforms, and new energy shielding were nothing but primitive theater meant to intimidate with little practical effect. But those same aliens had never accounted for humanity's adaptability, their creativity in turning weakness into strength, their ability to unify disparate factions under a single, decisive purpose when survival demanded it, and on the day the Altherion dreadnought fleet aligned to the edges of the Sol system, expecting an easy demonstration of power, they were met with silence, no initial communication, no response to aggressive signals, only a sudden disruption in their sensor readings as human cloaking technology, developed in secret over decades, masked the presence of hundreds of orbital platforms, and simultaneously, human cybernetic networks, designed to mimic and infiltrate alien AI protocols, initiated a cascade of interference that made the entire fleet's navigation, targeting, and communication systems unreliable, causing confusion that no galactic tactical manual could account for. And as small reconnaissance ships were intercepted and neutralized in ways that left alien analysts both horrified and fascinated, the humans revealed they had not just copied alien technology but improved upon it, integrating adaptive energy shielding, advanced propulsion that allowed instantaneous evasive maneuvers, and weapon systems that targeted weak points the aliens didn't even know existed. And even more alarming was the revelation that humanity had spent decades secretly fostering alliances with minor alien civilizations, some of which had been oppressed or ignored for centuries, bringing to bear resources, intelligence, and support that no dominant empire had ever anticipated. And as the Altherion admiral scrambled to make sense of the situation, humanity's first strike came, not with bombastic destruction, but with surgical precision, disabling the dreadnought's energy grid while leaving life support intact, sending a clear message that Earth was neither naive nor reckless but fully prepared to retaliate with efficiency and control. And within hours, communications that had been intended as commands for surrender were intercepted and rewritten by human AI to reflect the utter futility of resistance, broadcast in multiple languages and frequencies detailing humanity's capacity, history of ingenuity, and willingness to defend themselves spread throughout the fleet, shattering morale, and alien councils that had previously ridiculed humanity now convened in panic, debating whether to withdraw, negotiate, or risk annihilation, while on Earth, scientists, military leaders, and diplomats observed the unfolding chaos with stoic determination, knowing that this first engagement was only the beginning of humanity demonstrating that the species long underestimated had a capacity not just to survive but to reshape the very balance of power in the galaxy. And as the day ended with Altherion ships retreating in confusion, some damaged, some entirely incapacitated, the message was clear across every star system capable of receiving it. The laughter that once greeted humanity was gone, replaced by a dawning recognition that Earth would no longer be written off as insignificant, and in every corner of human command centers, research hubs, and even ordinary homes, the collective realization settled in that the universe would now be forced to reckon with a species that had evolved to turn underestimation into a weapon more lethal than any fleet, more precise than any bomb, and more enduring than any empire could imagine. As the Altherion fleet limped away in disarray, word of humanity's unexpected capabilities spread like wildfire through neighboring star systems, igniting both fear and curiosity. And while some minor civilizations celebrated secretly, believing that the humans might finally become the ally they had long needed against oppressive empires, the dominant galactic powers convened emergency councils on multiple planets, their leaders arguing bitterly over what to do next, with some factions insisting that Earth must be destroyed before its influence could spread, others cautioning that underestimating humans even once more will be catastrophic. And within these debates, every new intelligence report only reinforced the terrifying reality that humanity had not only mastered alien technology, but had improved it, integrating adaptive nanotechnology into weapon systems, creating ships capable of instantaneous reconfiguration, and developing strategic AI networks that could predict enemy maneuvers with unsettling accuracy. And on Earth itself, scientists and military strategists worked tirelessly to expand these capabilities, aware that the universe was now watching, learning, and waiting to see if humanity would act aggressively or continue to reveal itself as a species with unshakable restraint. And while humans had no desire for needless conquest, their preparation for defense had created a power imbalance that no alien council had anticipated, and as reconnaissance vessels attempted to probe Earth's outer orbital defenses, they were met with calculated precision. Ships were intercepted by electromagnetic nets that rendered propulsion inert, automated drones disabled weapon systems without loss of life, and subtle countermeasures broadcasted warnings in alien tongues, each emphasizing futility of aggression and the potential consequences of misjudging humanity. And yet the Altherion Admiralty could not contain panic, their communications filled with confusion, as senior commanders argued whether retreating entirely or striking preemptively would preserve their honor. But any action they considered had already been anticipated by human AI simulations, which provided multiple contingency responses in real time, ensuring that no strategy could succeed without humans controlling the outcome. And simultaneously, humans reached out diplomatically to other species who had suffered under Altherion domination, offering protection and alliance, creating a network of informed, grateful civilizations ready to supply intelligence, resources, and sanctuary if conflict escalated. And this coalition of smaller worlds provided humanity with a tactical depth that no single empire had foreseen, turning what had begun as a planetary defense into the foundations of a galactic strategic web. And as the days progressed, Altherion scientists discovered with increasing horror that human fleets were operating not only with superior technology but with adaptive tactics, improvising maneuvers that exploited even minor miscalculations. And on the surface of Earth, diplomats coordinated with interstellar envoys, balancing the appearance of restraint with a strategic message that humanity was fully capable of annihilation if provoked. And the Altherion High Council, facing reports of fleets incapacitated without a single human casualty. Communications networks hijacked to broadcast human warnings across multiple systems, and a growing coalition of allies that now watched from the sidelines realized they had triggered a chain of events beyond their control. Their arrogance in laughing at Earth transformed into a calculated fear of annihilation. And as the humans continued to expand their defensive perimeters, introducing advanced sensor grids, stealth ships, and non-lethal suppression technologies, it became clear that the galaxy's perception of humanity as weak, primitive, and inconsequential was shattered forever, leaving every power to reckon with the fact that the species they had mocked for centuries now held a balance of strategic advantage, capable of influencing or destroying entire fleets, guiding interstellar politics, and protecting allies, all while remaining firmly rooted on a single, once-dismissed blue planet. And within the halls of human command, there was no arrogance, only disciplined preparation, the knowledge that the universe had been warned, and that any future aggression would meet a response both precise and devastating. And in every sector of space, the message was simple yet unmistakable. Humans had been laughed at, humans had been underestimated, and now humans were fully aware that their moment had arrived to define the rules of engagement for the galaxy. The Altherion fleet's retreat did not signal relief but a deeper, creeping dread as intelligence reports continued to reveal the depth of humanity's preparation and foresight, and across multiple star systems, alien analysts scrambled to understand how a single planetary species could possess not only technology rivaling the most advanced fleets, but also the strategic brilliance to deploy it with flawless coordination. And even the most cynical admirals could not dismiss the evidence. Cloaked. Human carriers capable of instantaneous deployment had disabled multiple forward outposts, AI-controlled drones intercepted enemy transmissions in real time, and entire research satellites had been converted into adaptive weapon platforms capable of neutralizing any incoming threat. Yet humans had maintained a careful restraint, ensuring that no lives were lost unnecessarily, demonstrating a level of calculated morality that both awed and terrified those who observed from afar. And while alien, scientists debated whether humans were driven by instinct, morality, or some unprecedented intellect, human leaders continued to prepare for what they knew would eventually be an inevitable escalation, coordinating orbital defense grids with planetary surface systems, enhancing communication protocols to anticipate sabotage or misdirection, and integrating newly acquired alien technologies into hybrid systems that increase speed, adaptability, and lethality without sacrificing control. And as reconnaissance data began to flow in from minor allied civilizations, revealing Altherion weaknesses previously unknown, humans rapidly incorporated these insights into predictive simulations that allowed them to execute maneuvers and countermeasures before the enemy even realized the vulnerabilities existed. And in parallel, humans deployed diplomatic teams to neutral systems, not to threaten or conquer, but to offer protection, resources, and guidance, cultivating trust and loyalty that transformed small species into steadfast allies capable of providing logistical support, intelligence, and even military assistance if the conflict expanded. And these efforts created a network of interstellar cooperation that amplified humanity's influence far beyond the Sol system, leaving the Altherion High Council scrambling to understand the sudden emergence of what appeared to be an unstoppable coalition. And in private chambers, Altherion admirals argued heatedly, some advocating immediate annihilation of Earth to prevent humanity's influence from spreading, others warning that any aggressive action would trigger a cascade of retaliation from humans and their allies that could irreparably destabilize entire regions of space. And while these debates raged, humans quietly refined offensive and defensive systems simultaneously, designing ships capable of stealth maneuvers through dense asteroid fields, energy weapons calibrated to neutralize specific alien ship classes without causing unnecessary collateral damage, and AI protocols that could predict enemy fleet formations with staggering accuracy. And as the days turned into weeks, humans began small, targeted interventions in contested systems, rescuing oppressed species, sabotaging Altherion supply lines, and demonstrating both their power and their principles, making it clear that humanity would act decisively to protect allies and punish aggressors while never needlessly initiating conflict. And across the galaxy, alien perception shifted from amusement to apprehension to outright fear, as reports of humans appearing at strategic points with uncanny precision, altering the course of skirmishes before engagement, and demonstrating technologies and tactics previously believed impossible, filtered through Altherion command channels, leaving the once proud empire uncertain how to respond, knowing that every decision carried the risk of catastrophic loss. And as humans coordinated these maneuvers, they maintained a singular, unwavering objective to ensure that no species, human or alien, will be caught unprepared again. And in doing so, humanity not only defended their home but revealed a profound truth to the galaxy, that the species' laughter for centuries was now the standard by which interstellar strategy, technological innovation, and moral restraint will be measured, and that every empire, fleet, and council that had once dismissed Earth would now have to reckon with a new reality in which humans dictated the terms of engagement, protection, and influence across the stars. As the weeks passed, humanity's presence in nearby star systems became undeniable, not as conquerors but as a force of precise intervention, and every mission, whether it involved rescuing a besieged colony, sabotaging an oppressive regime, or intercepting Altherion supply convoys, served both a tactical and symbolic purpose, demonstrating to the galaxy that humans combined unmatched ingenuity with a code of ethics that no empire had ever encountered. And while the Altherion High Council struggled to adapt, the human command structure operated with seamless efficiency, integrating intelligence from allied species, adapting to new threats within hours, and deploying advanced stealth fleets capable of appearing and disappearing across systems in ways that seemed impossible, and the psychological impact of this adaptability became as potent as any weapon. As minor civilizations previously oppressed by the Altherion and other dominant empires began to perceive humans as both protectors and equalizers, their loyalty multiplying the reach and influence of Earth far beyond what any single planet could achieve. And in the shadow of these coordinated operations, alien fleets face a terrifying realization: no maneuver, no ambush, no technological advantage was guaranteed against humanity, whose mastery of strategy, adaptation, and rapid technological integration created an almost predictive understanding of enemy behavior, and even the Altherion's most experienced admirals began to doubt their own calculations, their confidence eroding as reports showed humans saving lives, securing systems, and simultaneously demonstrating that their restraint was as disciplined as their power was overwhelming. And while the galaxy watched in awe, humans did not rest, using downtime between engagements to refine communications networks that could intercept and decrypt enemy transmissions in real time, engineer hybrid weapons that combine energy, kinetic, and electronic warfare capabilities, and develop AI tacticians capable of simulating battles across entire fleets with unprecedented speed. And these innovations allowed humans not just to react but to anticipate, creating scenarios in which entire enemy strategies were rendered obsolete before they could be executed. And in diplomatic channels, humans leveraged these advantages to build a web of influence that bound minor civilizations into alliances based on shared security, knowledge exchange, and mutual protection, amplifying humanity's reach while maintaining their focus on defense and ethical engagement. And as the Altherion faced the mounting evidence of these interventions, fear spread not just among their military but into their political structures, as the realization dawned that centuries of arrogance, of laughing at Earth and dismissing its potential, had produced a species capable of rewriting the rules of interstellar power, a species that combined cunning, morality, and technological genius into a force that could not simply be defeated or ignored. And on Earth, the command councils, scientists, and military leaders watched the unfolding chaos with quiet satisfaction, knowing that every operation, every calculated strike, and every act of protection reinforced a universal truth: humans have been underestimated for too long. And now, the galaxy was witnessing the consequences. And as the sun set over Earth's orbiting defense stations, the message was clear to every corner of space capable of observing it. Humanity's era of silence had ended, their calculated interventions had begun, and the species that had once been laughed at would now write the last chapter of any empire foolish enough to challenge them. With the galaxy now fully aware that humanity could no longer be dismissed, the Altherion and their allies scrambled to formulate a coherent response. But every plan they devised was anticipated, countered, or rendered irrelevant by human ingenuity. And while the dominant empires debated in endless councils, humans operated with decisive clarity, deploying hybrid fleets across contested sectors to prevent further oppression, secure trade routes, and enforce a form of interstellar stability that subtly favored ethical conduct without ever appearing domineering. And in these engagements, human forces demonstrated not just technological superiority but an uncanny ability to coordinate across vast distances, integrating intelligence from allied civilizations with real-time battlefield data to create maneuvers that seemed prescient, confusing even the most experienced alien commanders. And as the Altherion attempted to rally their fleets, they were confronted by advanced electronic warfare, systems that disrupted communications and navigation while leaving no permanent damage, forcing retreat after retreat while humanity retained complete control of the strategic situation. And simultaneously, humans leveraged diplomacy to build trust with previously neutral systems, offering protection, technology, and guidance, transforming fear into loyalty and resistance into cooperation. And these alliances allowed humanity to extend influence and operational reach without committing overwhelming force, demonstrating a level of strategic patience and foresight that alien empires had never seen. And as skirmishes continued across multiple star clusters, reports of human intervention spread, showing precision strikes against hostile forces, rescue missions for oppressed populations, and coordinated sabotage of supply lines, all executed without unnecessary bloodshed, earning both awe and fear from observers and leaving the Altherians scrambling to understand how a single species could exert such control, influence, and moral authority across the galaxy. And within human command centers, leaders balance offensive and defensive operations with diplomatic initiatives, ensuring that every action reinforces a perception of humans as a species that combined unrivaled capability with ethical restraint. And as new fleets were launched, equipped with adaptive shielding, energy weapons calibrated for maximum efficiency, and AI systems capable of predictive combat analysis, humans began executing operations that not only neutralized immediate threats but reshaped regional power dynamics, forcing rival empires to reconsider long-held assumptions about interstellar dominance. And while the Altherion leadership convened emergency councils, struggling with internal dissent and fear of public outrage, human forces intercepted communication relays, subtly guiding the flow of information to expose weaknesses, prevent miscalculations, and maintain the moral high ground. And as the weeks turned into months, the galaxy began to shift in quiet but undeniable ways, with smaller species flocking to humanity's side, opportunistic empires reconsidering aggressive postures, and the Altherion facing the chilling reality that the species they had ridiculed for centuries now dictated the tempo, strategy, and ethical framework of interstellar engagement. And through it all, humans maintained unwavering discipline, demonstrating that true power was not in reckless conquest but in measured, intelligent action. And in every corner of space, the realization grew clearer with each encounter, each rescue, and each tactical victory. Humanity had been laughed at for centuries, humanity had been underestimated, and now humanity was writing the final chapter in the galaxy's assumptions, one calculated, decisive, and unforgettable act at a time. The months of strategic restraint and precision operations had transformed humanity from a dismissed, backwater species into the galaxy's undeniable pivot of power, and as the Altherians struggled to rebuild fleet morale, humans began implementing larger-scale coordinated campaigns, not to conquer, but to neutralize potential threats before they could escalate, integrating stealth carriers, adaptive energy grids, and AI-guided tactical squadrons capable of executing complex maneuvers across multiple star systems simultaneously, and these operations were augmented by the network of allied civilizations that humans had cultivated, providing intelligence, resources, and localized support, enabling Earth's fleets to appear in sectors previously thought unreachable, striking with both speed and surgical precision. And as these interventions unfolded, the psychological effect on enemy commanders was devastating. For every plan of retaliation or subversion was anticipated, countered, or turned to humanity's advantage, leaving the Altherion High Council in a state of perpetual uncertainty, their authority undermined by the realization that no calculation, no fleet deployment, and no political maneuver could outpace human adaptability. And within this framework, human leaders pursued a delicate balance, demonstrating overwhelming capability while avoiding unnecessary devastation, rescuing oppressed species, neutralizing hostile fleets without civilian casualties, and subtly reshaping the galaxy's perception of interstellar justice and responsibility. And as the Altherion attempted to consolidate their remaining forces, they were met by humans employing strategies that combined centuries of accumulated knowledge, rapid innovation, and predictive modeling, creating engagements where the outcome was effectively predetermined, yet executed in ways that allowed enemy commanders to retain a false sense of agency until the final moments. And across the galaxy, reports of these interventions spread with both awe and terror, detailing fleets disabled without loss of life, oppressive regimes dismantled through coordinated sabotage, and entire sectors stabilized under human guidance, and minor civilizations previously subjugated or ignored began to openly align with Earth, providing support, intelligence, and political legitimacy. While witnessing species marred by Altherian exploitation saw humanity as both savior and enforcer, reinforcing perception that Earth's people had risen far beyond the crude expectations of the galaxy, and even within human ranks, leaders maintained rigorous discipline, constantly innovating, training, and refining tactics, ensuring that every engagement further solidified humanity's reputation as a species capable of both incredible destruction and unmatched restraint. And as human forces expanded into contested systems, they deployed a combination of visible deterrence and invisible technological dominance, ensuring that no enemy fleet could move without detection, no communication could evade interception, and no plan could be executed without human insight. And by carefully calibrating these actions, humans created a web of influence, control, and moral authority that rendered traditional measures of galactic power obsolete, leaving the Altherion, once proud of their might, to confront the inescapable truth. The species they had laughed at, the species they had underestimated for centuries, had evolved beyond their comprehension, capable of dictating the terms of engagement, enforcing alliances, and shaping the very structure of galactic politics. And as humans continued to consolidate these gains, it became clear to every civilization capable of observing the unfolding events that laughter at Earth had been humanity's greatest miscalculation, and that now, with strategic patience, technological mastery, and unwavering moral clarity, humans were writing the final, irreversible chapter in a galaxy that had once dismissed them, a chapter in which Earth would define the rules, ensure justice, and demonstrate that underestimation of humanity would always come with a cost too great for any empire to survive. The culmination of decades of preparation, technological advancement, and strategic mastery reached its apex as humanity, now fully recognized as a galactic force, executed operations that reshaped entire sectors with precision, and while the Altherion and other dominant empires scrambled to recover, their fleets fragmented, their communications intercepted, and their political authority undermined. Humans continued to enforce a system of balance, ensuring that no species suffered undue harm, while simultaneously demonstrating that Earth's defenses were absolute, adaptive, and omnipresent, and across multiple star systems, human fleets, coordinated with allied civilizations, appeared in synchronized strikes that neutralized remaining hostile forces, rescued oppressed populations, and established protective zones that combined deterrence, surveillance, and rapid response capabilities. And the psychological impact on enemy leaders was profound, for every attempt to regain control was countered with uncanny foresight, every maneuver anticipated, every weakness exploited without unnecessary devastation. And as the Altherion High Council convened for what they feared would be their final deliberation, they confronted the inescapable truth. Centuries of arrogance, dismissiveness, and ridicule of humanity had produced a species whose ingenuity, adaptability, and moral discipline made them not only undefeatable in conventional terms, but capable of reshaping the galaxy itself. And in that moment, communications across the surviving fleets transmitted humanity's message with unwavering clarity. No further aggression would be tolerated. Those who sought conquest or oppression would face precise and inevitable consequences, and those who embraced cooperation, protection, and ethical conduct would find alliance and mutual benefit. And as these words echoed through space, minor civilizations previously under the thumb of dominant empires began to align openly with humanity, pledging resources, intelligence, and political support, creating a network of influence and protection that ensured stability while discouraging renewed hostility. And on Earth, leaders and scientists observed the unfolding transformation with sober satisfaction, aware that the galaxy had been warned, and that the species once laughed at had now dictated the rules of engagement, technological development, and interstellar diplomacy. And as fleets returned to orbit, systems stabilized, and alliances solidified, the final lesson became undeniable. Humans had not only defended their home, but had demonstrated that restraint, intelligence, and moral clarity could coexist with overwhelming power, and that the universe would never again underestimate Earth, nor forget the cost of laughter at a species whose ingenuity, perseverance, and unity had written the last chapter for those foolish enough to challenge them. And as the stars shimmered above a planet once considered insignificant, the galaxy collectively acknowledged that humanity had transcended expectation, transforming from a dismissed backwater to the arbiter of interstellar balance, a species whose actions ensured protection, justice, and a legacy that would endure across the cosmos. And in every sector, across every fleet, the message resonated with unshakable clarity. Humans had been underestimated, humans had been provoked, and humans had irrevocably proven that any empire, fleet, or council that dared to laugh at Earth would discover, too late, that the species they ridiculed wrote the final, indelible chapter of their own history.